it is? Gotcha! Yes! Yes! Get into it! Get into it! Yes! We're back! Hey. How's it going? I just want to give a quick shout out to my friend Tony Belmont. Tony, you know who you are. I love you and appreciate you. Thank you for being a friend. Thank you for looking out for me and giving me the odds honest truth. So, thank you, Tony. Love you so much. Y'all make sure that you tell the people in your life that bring you love and goodness, bring positivity into your life. Let them know that you love them. Let them know that. Because you never want to have a day where you wake up wondering why. You know. So, love the people in your life and bring you goodness. Is my mic on? Okay, my mic is on. I'm just tripping. Sorry. Okay, you know you don't have to watch these videos when they go live. You're more than welcome to watch them in your downtime, nap time, max, relax, and chillaxing time, in between time, me time, scheme time, study time, break time, CP time. Anytime that you want to hear a highly animated voice bring you wonderful stories of magic, fantasy, science fiction, adventure, and many, many more in between. And music too. Ooh, excuse me. All right, we are back, and we are going to officially meet one of my favorite characters in the Unicorn Chronicles, Thomas the Tinker. Chapter 11, The Cart. 3 hours later, Kara crouched in the narrow aisle that ran down the center of the Tinker's wagon. The Squidgem sat next to her, nearly bursting with the effort of keeping still. With Thomas hauling the cart, they were heading for the Delvers' camp. Kara was surprised at how smoothly the cart traveled. She had expected to be bounced and jolted for the entire journey. The inside of the cart had also surprised her. Rather than the hopelessly cluttered jumble she had anticipated, it was so tidy as to be almost stark. Whatever Thomas carried here was packed behind rows and rows of small doors, tiny ones at the top of the cart, larger ones at the bottom. Despite the need to remain silent, she had tried to open a few of the little doors. When they had proved to be locked, she had tried the others. Every one of them, dozens in all, counting the smallest, was locked. It had been very frustrating. In her hand, she held the knife Thomas had given her. "When the time comes, I want you to jump out of the wagon," he had told her. "Cut the Dimplethumb free, guide him back inside, then close the door quickly and tightly, and I'll get you out of there." The whole thing had been set up so fast it left her head spinning, but that was the first thing she had noticed about the Tinker. He was fast. It didn't make any difference what he was doing, walking, talking, thinking, or planning. He did it rapidly. Lightfoot had seemed alternately amused and disgusted by the man, but since they had no other way of saving the Dimplethumb, he had had little choice but to accept the assistance. Kara wished she was able to talk to the Squidgem. She wanted to know more details about how he had found the Tinker. Suddenly, the cart stopped. Moving silently, she pressed her eye to the secret hole Thomas had showed her in the back wall. It took a moment for her to make out the scene. It was fully dark now, and they were in the Delvers' camp, which was once again lit by a low fire. The creatures, none of them any higher than Thomas's waist, had gathered round the Tinker, several with shifting their spears in a menacing fashion. Thomas spoke to them rapidly in their own language. His hands flying, he pointed first to their spears, then to the cart. For a terrifying moment, Kara wondered if he had betrayed them and was sending the Delvers to kill her. She beat down her suspicions and tried to spot the Dimplethumb, but the limited view offered by the peephole made it impossible to see him. She hoped she would be able to find him fast enough when the time came. As she watched, one of the Delvers reluctantly handed Thomas his spear. The Tinker took something up from his pouch and made a series of swift strokes over the spearhead. Then he tested it against his thumb and with a smile handed it back to the Delver, who did the same thing. His hideous face broke into a wide grin and he nodded to the others. "Wonderful, Thomas," thought Kara, "sharpening their weapons for them. That's going to do us a lot of good." But he only sharpened 2 more of the weapons. When he took the third, he examined it and made a series of clucking noises that indicated big trouble. Turning to the owner, he said something to him, then reached into one of his pockets and drew out a watch. Kara braced herself. That was a sign. But when Thomas opened the watch, nothing happened. He shook it in disgust, closed it, put it back in his pocket, then he dug out another one. He motioned to the Delvers and they gathered closer. Thomas opened the watch, and even though she had been expecting it, Kara cried at the flash of blinding light that filled the clearing. Her cry, however, was nothing compared to the screams of the Delvers, who their hands over their enormous eyes and fell to the ground, screaming in pain. Kara shot out of the cart. After the flash of light, the clearing seemed extraordinarily dark, and it took her a second to spot the Dibblethumb. As the night before, he was tied to a pole. Racing to his side, she slashed the rough cords that held him. The look of gratitude on his face made the risk and the effort all worthwhile. He stumbled forward, and she feared that he would not be able to walk. If that happened, she didn't know what she would do, for surely she could not carry him. She did not fall, but he did need to lean on her shoulder. Staggering under his weight, she guided him back to the cart. Chaos surrounded them as the still blinded delvers, most of them not yet back on their feet, groped their way about the clearing, screaming and cursing. She could not understand any of the words except Thomas's name, which they screamed over and over in tones that made her blood run cold. One delver nearly stumbled into them, but the squidgem leaped at him from behind, causing him to spin and fall to his knees. Hurrying past him, Kara led the Dibblethumb into the cart, turning him sideways so that his broad shoulders could fit into the narrow aisle that ran down the center. The squidgem leaped in behind her, slamming the door shut. She fastened the bolt and prayed. Thomas was as good as his word. With her eye pressed to the peephole, Kara could see the trees flashing by as he pulled them through the forest to the place where they were supposed to rendezvous with Lightfoot. This time she decided that there must be something magical about the cart, for no one could pull it over the root-rimmed forest floor so swiftly and easily without magic. Lightfoot was waiting impatiently in a clearing just off the side of the little road about 2 miles from the Delver camp. He had wanted to come on the mission, but the others had persuaded him that there had to be at least one of them left should things come to disaster, and he was the logical one to stay behind. From what you told me, he'll need you to heal the Dibblethumb when we get him back, Thomas had said. He had paused and added, I wish I could do that kind of mending. Anyway, no sense in risking you at this stage of the game. Lightfoot had fussed and fumed, but agreed to stay behind, muttering that there were times when he found it utterly annoying that he did not have hands. However, once they pulled the Dibblethumb out of the cart, he was in his glory, making the others step aside. He used his horn to heal the numerous wounds that split the man-bear's pelt. Kara noticed with some surprise that the horn glowed brighter as he was doing the healing. What did not surprise her was that as soon as Lightfoot was done, his knees buckled and he fell to the ground. We need to get farther away from here, said Thomas nervously. Let's get them into the wagon. They'll never fit, said Kara. Oh, ye of little faith, laughed Thomas. Watch this. Though she watched, Kara was never really sure just what it was that the tinker did to the cart. He began pulling on rods and folding down slates, humming to himself as he worked. He reminded her of nothing so much as a kid playing with one of those toys that, with the right motions, can be turned into something altogether different. And indeed, when Thomas was done, the blue cart was twice the size it had been. How did you do that? She asked in astonishment as the squidgem raced around the cart, chattering with excitement. This is a very special wagon, said Thomas with a chuckle. How special became even clearer when he offered to let Kara pull it after they had loaded the Dibblethumb and Lightfoot inside. You're joking, she said, looking at the cart, which is now the size of a large camper trailer. Give it a try, he replied gleefully. Stationing herself between the poles, she grabbed them firmly and tried to take a step forward. The cart rolled easily behind her. Very special indeed, he said, giving the cart a approving pat. The only problem with having the cart so large was it would not as easily pass through the forest. They were forced to follow the road instead, though Thomas said that was just as well as the Delvers would tend to avoid it. They will be able to see well enough to follow us for another few hours anyway, he continued. Then they'll probably have a long fight about whether they should follow us, or report back to the king, or just run away and hide for a month or two. So the odds are we won't need to worry about them for a while. There's something else hunting for us, said Kara nervously. Another human. I know, said Thomas with a nod. The squidgem and I met him on the road. Unfortunately, I was a little confused at the time. I'm afraid I completely bollocks the directions I gave him. In fact, now that I think of it, I probably sent him the wrong way altogether. I expect he's a long way away from us now. He gave her a wink. Silly of me, he said, but it's done now. Oh, well, I was pretty sure he was no friend of the Queen's. Kara smiled. Much as she had come to love Lightfoot, the Dibblethumb, and the squidgem, they were all very different from her. Thomas's presence made her realize she had missed human company more than she would have thought possible. How did you get here? She asked him now as he strolled along beside her. Fell in by accident, he said. Pretty silly of me now that I think about it. But then I've done a lot of silly things in my time. How long ago did it happen? Oh, it's hard to say. He stopped and did some calculations on his fingers. About 150 years ago, give or take 5 years on either side. Right, she sneered. And I'll be 92 on my next birthday. He chuckled, which he seemed to do fairly often. Such a cynic for one so young. I have drunk from the Queen's pool. A reward for a little something I did when I just first got here. Won't make me live forever, which is a pretty frightening idea anyway now that I think of it, but it does stretch things out a bit. She looked at him, wondering if he was teasing her. The thing was, here in Luster, such an outlandish statement made almost perfect sense. Here we go, he said before she could ask another question. This looks to me like a good place to bed down for the night. And just in time, too, he added, holding out his hand at the same time that Kara felt the first drops of rain began to spatter against her forearms. At Thomas's direction, she positioned the cart about 10 feet off the road. Rushing about with his unusual speed, he quickly blocked up the wheels, folded out a side compartment complete with a bed, unrolled a canopy from the back, and started a small fire in its shelter. There we go, he said, settling on the steps that he had flipped out from under the back of the cart. Cozy as a house, is twice as easy to pick up and move. So Thomas the Tinker is basically the early version of the tiny house? Just saying. Just saying. Kara went in the back of the car to check on Lightfoot and the Dibblethumb, but both of them were sleeping soundly. The Squidgem, who had scurried in behind her, snuck into the Dibblethum's stomach. Covering his eyes with his tail, he sighed softly and fell to sleep. Now I know this cart is magical, muttered Kara, climbing back down to sit beside the Tinker. And that is where we will end for tonight. Thank you all so much for joining me for Storytime with Chris. As always, I really appreciate you all, and have a great night. Bye, lovelies. Bye-bye. Oh, and before I forget, for this one, this is a special message to all my nieces and nephews in Cleveland, in Atlanta, in Chicago, making sure I'm not forgetting anybody else. But to all my nieces and nephews, from the oldest to Jada, all the way to the youngest, Phoenix, who was just born a few weeks ago, this is from your uncle/auntie Chris. I love you all so much. I love you so very much. And if nothing else, I do Storytime with Chris so you all can see me every day. That, Lord forbid, when I do leave this world, you can just open up these videos and watch me be silly and have my ups and downs and read you wonderful, wonderful stories. Because if nobody else tells you, I love you. I love you so much. And I know that your future, all of your futures, will be bright and blessed. So to all my nieces and nephews, I love you. Have a great night. Bye, lovelies. Bye-bye.